Hi, the picnic table puzzle wasn't quite as hard as I thought it was going to be. I'm just going to show the answer, then you can pause it to check your work. All right, page 217. Brendan looked a little better after solving the puzzle, so Winston invited him back over to his picnic table. Brendan thought about it and shook his head. Everybody probably thinks I'm as much a cheater as my teacher. He looked startled for a moment and said, "Hey, those two words are anagrams to each other." "What?" "Teacher and cheater. You can scramble letters of one to get the other." Winston was amused and Brendan laughed. He was he'd been trying to think how to make Brendan feel better, and all it took was some scrambled letters. When Winston again invited him to sit with him and Mel and Jake, Brendan came along carrying his plate. His friends instinctively understood that Brendan needed a little cheering up. They greeted him like a long-lost relative. "Hey, hey, hey, Brendan!" Mel said with an over-the-top happiness. Jake stood up and clapped Brendan on the shoulder, welcoming him to their picnic table like it was a secret society for only the very coolest people. Brendan soon looked more like his old self. "Where's Mr. Garvey?" Winston asked. Jake gestured with his chin, and Winston turned around. Mr. Garvey was talking with Dimitri Simon and three of Simon's men. "They called him over?" Winston said. "I thought they were going to speak to all of us." "No," said Mel. "He went over by himself. He said they had to be told that another team had solved the final puzzle." So they watched Mr. Garvey, who was talking as much with his hands as with his mouth, passionately trying to convince Dimitri Simon there was another winning team ready to claim the grand prize. Simon's expression was unreadable at this distance. "Your team solved the final puzzle too?" Brendan asked. "Yeah," Winston said. "Took a while. Think square. I had no idea what that meant." "Well, if somebody else wins, I hope it's you guys," Brendan said seriously. "Well, we might," Mal said. "Maybe they'll let us have it just to stop Mr. Garvey from talking to them anymore." He imitated a desperate potato chip executive. "Yes, please, take our money. Take whatever you want. Just go away." They all snickered. Jake said, "Do you think that he's telling the full story?" "What do you mean?" Jake leaned in and spoke softly. "We're supposed to split the prize money with the girls. Do you think he's telling them that? We never got to submit the answer with the computer, so there's no proof we made that deal with Bethany's team." They thought about that as they watched Mr. Garvey talking to the other men. "Do you think he's trying to claim the entire prize for himself? You think he's cutting the girls out?" "Well, I think he's arguing to give them more money." "What's your teacher doing?" said a new voice. Winston spun around to see Bethany standing there, her arms crossed, glaring down. Giselle and Elvie stood behind her like backup singers. "I don't know, we were just talking about that." Bethany pointed sharply at Winston, as if Mr. Garvey was Winston's misbehaving dog. "Dimitri Simon already interviewed my team. We told them exactly what happened, that we were going to split the money. If he's over there saying something different, they might decide that we're all lying. They might not award the prize to anybody." They continued to watch the men talking. Winston said, "I'm sure he wouldn't do that." Well, he didn't even believe those words himself. Nobody else did either. Bethany just snorted. Jake snorted too. "He would totally do that," Jake said. "But what can he tell them?" Winston said. "What can he say to make them think we deserve the prize money by ourselves?" Bethany made an exasperated sound. "It's easy. It's totally easy. All he has to do is say your computer broke after it beeped and said another team won. Then you gave us a hint to solve the last puzzle because it was all over anyway." "Is that what happened?" asked Brendan. "What?" Bethany said. "No, that's what I'm saying." Sorry, I just got here, Brendan said. That's the bunch of lies their teacher's telling Dimitri Simon right now, Bethany said. They all looked over to Mr. Garvey, who was still at it, giving his complicated version of events to Simon and his men. Now, as they watched, Mr. Garvey pointed back to the picnic table. Dimitri Simon turned to look at Winston and his friends. Simon said something else and turned and began to walk toward them. Mr. Garvey tried to follow, but one of Simon's men put a hand up and stopped him. What was that about? Dimitri Simon reached their table. He was all smiles. Hey again, girls, he said to Bethany's team. I'd like to talk with these fellas for a few minutes. What did that teacher say to you? Bethany asked. Because if he said anything about... I actually have to take a break. I think my dog is chewing something that they're not supposed to chew on.